And so we'll begin. And we begin in the same way as ever, with a burnt umber wash. This doesn't have to be burnt umber, but it's my go-to standard wash for this palette. Okay, so there's burnt umber behind here. That piece of marble is from an old fondue set that we had. Which I'm going to tamp down slightly, just because I don't want the palette to, the canvas to be too wet as I'm painting. So we're going to draw this. So first of all, we're going to measure. Okay, I'll push that in a little bit there like that. So obviously this is not like Peploe. Peploe's was like portrait, but almost square. So we're just confined by the canvases that I have and the setup that I can make and things like that. So that part will be mine. Okay, so I'm going to measure from your point of view the whole thing from the edge, the handle of the jug to the edge of the saucer. Okay. There, moving my finger. Okay, something like that. Look at that, it actually is square. So we've got a square, that's good. Well, we'll put that in first. So we're gonna have to actually make up stuff here and here because we're fitting this thing into a square. Let's have a look. That's an actual square there. That's the square. The canvas could be, if it was square canvas, it'd be like that. And we've got a square to fit in that square. So now we can work off this. So let's say the jug is here, something like that. We know that amount there is going to, I didn't even need to measure that because we worked out what the square was. I could just move that into the center of the square that we will have, the larger square, our composition. All right, so we have something there. Let's stick it down a center line. That might help us. This is not sort of geometry. This is sort of by eye stuff. And let's see where the center is of that composition. Let's take the side of the jug there, the left-hand side. Is that the center? God, aren't we lucky people? It seems to be the center. So the jug comes to here, the handle comes to here, and everything else falls where it falls. Okay, where's the center, top and bottom? Let's say it's the top of that blue cloth. No. Is it the top of the handle? Can't be. No. It's in between the handle and the cloth. It's about there. That's the center. Got my arms aching now. All right, so we know that the saucer comes out to here. At the center, the cloth is below the center. Let's put in a tentative line there. We know that the jug is here, but it comes up like halfway in that cup, doesn't it? So if we drew a line across here, maybe that would be halfway there. No, lower. That's the center of the cup. That would be the jug there. And we know that that rose up there is at the top, but it also ranges with the side of the jug, which is a fortuitous thing too, isn't it? So let's have a look at that there. There's the center, so the jug has to come down to about there. Handle. ellipse of the bottom of the jug. Where did we say? Oh yeah, well the edge of the saucer comes not quite to the center, doesn't it? Because we know that that comes to the center. Cup doesn't come up. Maybe it comes up to there. Say if that's the saucer there. See, because you can always change things afterwards. There. We said that the blue cloth kind of comes here. We've got a lemon there, don't we? The lemon comes in the middle. Something like that. It goes above the cloth. Then we've got the background drape there. Okay, cloth coming out here. Be nice to have had a square canvas, but I can't get one at the moment, so there we go. Ellipse of the cup comes there like that. We're doing those in straight lines, remember, so that we know, so we can sight it better. Much easier to do that with straight lines than it is with curves. Okay, we've got an edge. It's slightly, I'm going to do it sort of at an angle. Seems to want it. We'll try and make it that kind of painting. Okay, so we've got our cloth coming off there. That's higher. Coming down to the lemon. Okay, and then we've got leaf, spout, flower head comes out beyond the edge. That's kind of that shape. That flower head comes off beyond, square across there, meets that one there. Angles, star, center. Another flower head, bit coming off the flower there. That one meets it there. Comes across. Having not as far as I have it there. But it goes beyond that flower head there. And there's no harm if the flower heads are big. Okay. Few sort of there. It's a Christmas jug, by the way. Found in a charity shop. Okay, so we have a bit of a drawing there. Let's have a look. That comes across there. Well, that's got to correspond with that. That comes down there and off. That comes down through the handle and then just drops down there. There's a kind of a shadow. Can you see it? Yes, you kind of can see it there. Yeah. And then that rises up there. We'll have it rising a bit more. Now, this is actually the canvas from an old deck chair that we had. I was going to sort of mount it onto a stretcher and gesso it and paint on it, but I just never got round to it. So luckily, because it's the closest thing that I could find to that Peploe background. That comes down there, across there, and meets the horizon. And then there are other ones coming up there like that. Wipe that away. Just get a tonal version of my drawing. It's not quite an underpainting. Okay, so we've got leaves and material in there. Then, oh yes, well, there's that cloth comes down there like that. And this is all quite dark. But there's a reflection coming down here. You can see it down there, the reflection of the jug. Must remember that. That's very dark underneath. And the other thing I've got to remember is to try and keep this sort of light and colourful. Okay, I'm not sure what to do around here, but that is all that blue cloth there. I hope you agree. I mean, that's quite kind of this is just the brush with a bit of terps on it and a bit of burnt umber on it. It's a useful sort of way of just working out the tones. There's the lemon there. Working out the tones and just giving you a steer on the color or the tonal values of your painting before you begin. Push the lemon up there a little bit. There's a fold here. And then that fold goes there. As the cloth comes to meet the cup. I better give the cup a handle so I remember where it is. Might be useful for later. Have a cup of tea. There. Okay, so I think we've got all the salient sort of points of this painting in. I'm gonna try not to be too Kevin McSherry about this, and I'm here to learn. My tendency is to be an obsessive completist. That's what I'm fighting against all the time. I put up a picture I did 10 years ago on Instagram the other day, and it was kind of, it really got a pleasant reaction. But I was looking at it thinking, my God, how anally retentive was that painting? You know, it's lots and lots and lots of detail in it. Okay, so look, that's what we're going to use. Right, okay. I'm just going to actually just tamp that a little bit because okay. The Peploe and those Scottish colorists apparently spent a lot of time in France, and they were sort of heavily influenced by the French Impressionists. They seem to have appeared slightly later. Peploe, he died in 1935, so he caught the tail end of the Impressionist movement. And I mean, it's great the way they got a name for themselves with the Scottish colourists, because there were only 4 of them. I think it would be a massive movement, but it kind of wasn't. So I'm going to start with that lemon just to get something in. So I'm going to make a kind of a lemon, just some cadmium yellow, pale hue, tiny touch of yellow into it. And I'm going to start as I mean to go on. And I'll stop myself if I'm going to try and start painting like me again. Okay. You know, normally I put in the shadow first and then put in the body color. Well, I'm putting in the whole lot first. Okay, there. I'm going to do the flowers, the rose heads, okay? I'm going to average out the whole thing. I'm going to put them all in. The whole thing. Same here. Blocks. Okay, they're my roses. They touch. Blue cloth. It's a light blue that's going towards green. So I'm going to grab a load of white. I'm difficult for not using enough paint, so slight touch of yellow into it. A bit more blue. Averaged out. It's the kind of color I want for that cloth. Bit of oil, it's not moving very well. Okay. It really is. It was such a hot day yesterday that I think the paint was left on the palette. It actually did something to the dark painting again there. All that area down there. Just one solid block, which we can work into later. That there, the shadow of the cup. Okay, around here. And then it's kind of redder there because it's reflecting, I think, a lot of this behind. So I'm just mixing a bit of red and yellow into that same dark mix. I put that in there. And then this is kind of reflecting a kind of a greenish color. a greenish dark. So I'm going to put that in there. What are we doing here? That's the, no, it's lighter than that. A little bit of white into it. There. Okay, this bit down here underneath, which you can't really see, it's just a dark. It's doesn't matter. It's just slightly darker. So I'm going to make just a darkish warm grey. Down here. That's irrelevant stuff there. All it needs to do is to be recorded in some way at all. Dark, just making a very dark here. That's blue, red, and yellow. No, going with what the Impressionists used to favor, I think. Okay, so that's kind of as dark as the painting is going to get, really. So you can see the difference between that and that, can't you? That black. Right. Right, I'm going to put that in here where I see it. Okay. The stripes in the canvas. We get some blue, bit of red, bit of white. I'll put those in here. There's one up there. Comes down to there. There, like, that goes up there like that. And so, same with that one. All kind of averaged out as a kind of, that one's the same. All right, and I'm going to put that in around. Okay. Give myself just a little bit of room there to put in the green. Okay. Over here, it's kind of a grey, isn't it? It's a greenish grey. It'd be nice to have some green in this painting anyway. So I'm going to make a blue and white and yellow and a little touch of red. Because, you know, if you're going to make a grey, like you can make a grey, it is an interesting point. You can make a grey out of just using black and white, right? Okay, that's perfect grey, really. But there's no life in it. And grey is it's kind of harsh along with it. If you use all of your primary colours, the red, the yellow and the blue, with a bit of white, you will make a grey. And it'll be a lively grey, and it'll be a grey that's much more easy to push around into the kind of area that you want it to be. You often hear interior decorators, don't you, talking about cool greys and warm greys and everything. Well, that's what you do. If you want a warm grey, you put more red and yellow into it. If you want a cool grey, you mix more blue into it. And everything sort of, everything looks more lively because of it. Got some, yeah, so we've got some stripes now. Let's have a look at the ceramics. All right, so the ceramics are quite dark, and something that I usually tell people at the beginning of the class was, yesterday I've forgotten, today I've forgotten as well, that we're governed by the highlights. Here, usually we are there's one up there. It's quite bright there, but it's not a highlight. It's a bit of a cool highlight there. But looking at Peploe's work, it doesn't really sort of deal much. It's more about the planes of color, the flat planes of color. So let's experiment and not worry too much about those highlights, because it's kind of a high-toned painting. So it seems that the Peploe painting that I've chosen to more or less sort of use as an example, it's a high-toned painting. It's a high-keyed painting. It's like when you start a song off in too high a key, you know, Roxanne or something, and then it comes to the Roxanne part and you can't sing it because you started too high in the first place. And or indeed any other song. I'm not sure it's such an important thing here. But anyway, whatever happens, this is darker than, for example, the rim of the cup. And that's darker than its rim and the top. Okay, but I might actually just start out with that blue first. That's a grayish red blue here. So let's put that in first, a grayish red blue. Okay, let's put that in there. It goes all the way up there. Especially here, it's redder because it's reflecting that. Okay, so now we've got that blocked in. Now, the ceramics are a kind of grey. We have to decide, is it a bluish grey? Is it a cool grey or is it warm grey? I'd say it's a cool grey. So it's kind of a bit heavier on the blues. Okay, let's have a look at that. That might be something like it there. And that repeats up here. There's an almost sort of childlike quality to what Peploe was doing. It's as if he was saying to himself, okay, there's a cup. I'll just paint this cup, cup shape. Which is the way children paint, isn't it? Instead of getting like all Rembrandt. I'm going to just paint that rim around there. Okay, now this ceramic here, that's what? It's warmer. So the same kind of tone, but slightly warmer. So I'm going to put some red and yellow into that grey mix that I made. Maybe slightly greener. So okay, so like that. Averaging it out. As it comes around here, it gets bluer, probably because of that blue cloth. Okay, so we've got something there, comes through there like that. Comes. Mm-hmm. And across the back of the handle. Handle there like that. Right, leaves. Right, so still not using black. I would have darkened the leaves with black, but we're eschewing black today, aren't we? So we're not going to do that. I'm going to make up a green out of blue and yellow, little bit of red, just for the darker areas. Let's put a bit more red in, because we're going to treat the leaves differently from normally. Okay, so I'm going to put these in first. Okay, and there as well. Okay. And I'm going to put some white and yellow into this, into these leaves here. Okay, that'll do for the moment. Let us just go up there like that. Do some things that I missed. It down there. I'm going to just fix that area around the roses. Like this. So far, it's kind of not too different from what I normally do, apart from the fact that there are kind of almost no shadows in this. It's just the flat planes of color. Right, now, I'm going to do, just to give myself a bit of a holiday here, I'm going to do the shadows in the cloth. I'm just going to add more blue into that blue-white mix that I had. I'm going to put them in here, in these areas that I see here. There's one there. Just a line there like that. And then coming from here, the handle. There's a line like that, and then that comes down there like that. It's almost like a watercolorist approach, because you're working from light to dark. That's what watercolorists do. Okay. I have to put in a kind of a gratuitous one here, because I don't have there's nothing I've got to work with there. Let's put that in again. Push that up to the top there. Now there's some really quite dark blue areas, so I'm just going to take some blue and red and mix them together, a little bit of yellow, just to make some very dark darks. Okay, so I'm going to start one here. And that there, that comes down. That is a very dark dark. There's one there. I'm going to put in a little bit of a dark in that background. This is not the way I normally paint. It's quite interesting. And along here. Okay, starting to get a little bit of definition there. The thing is to not start getting into details. I know that's what I probably normally say that in my usual paintings, but that was a happy accident there. It just dragged in a little bit of the paint there and gave the whole thing a bit of definition. God bless happy accidents. Okay. Push that out there like that. Bit of a reflection coming from here. So I'm going to grab some of what I made there, mix it with that dark that I made. A little bit, it seems to be reflecting some of green. So, and then I'm going to put that down there. Not being overly specific. There's a bit of a golden hue here. As I say, I'm not going to sort of overdo that. Even here, it's reflecting down. Just putting in strokes to denote it to the viewer that I know it's there. A brighter white cup. I want to get in something here and here on the cup. So I'm going to make up a kind of a bright. Put that across there. Spout. That's blue there. Put that in there. Just one there. I'm going to do this ellipse around, following my line there. I'm going to shape that later with that grey. That's a green around there, actually. Okay, so let's put that in. Let's put in the green. It's like the grass. Sorry, the grass, the leaves of the... Put that in there. I'm not even going to be too sort of, too pernickety about the shape, of these ellipses either. One there. What should I do around here? There's a bit of a, down there, there's a bit of a reflection of this going on here, which goes dark again. Okay, so we've got a dark pinkish ellipse around here. Slightly lighter and warmer, kind of yellower there. This is reflecting here. Put that down there, not in a terribly specific way, just to denote that there's a reflection going on. There. Let's make more of that lemon. Push that up a little bit. See, normally there's a shadow there. I haven't put that in yet. Push that out there. Push that around a bit. What are we going to do here? Let's fix that. Nothing wrong with that there. A few just tonal variations in that cloth here. Bring that up there. Let's put in those darks in the handle. They are very dark indeed. Bit sort of bit burnt umbery, but I'm not going to use burnt umber. I'm just going to use the usual colors. Up there. Down there. I'm going to fix that part there. And as usual, like any painting, you're bouncing around from pillar to post, redoing things, rejigging them. Greens in here a little bit. Put that red in there. Okay, right. Roses. I'm going to take a little bit of permanent rose and yellow and a little bit of blue, all right? I just want to get a center into this, and it's dark red. Do I see that anywhere else? Yes, I do. I see it in here, just there. Now, I see some darker parts of the rose, and we've got to get this sort of structural sort of idea. One there. I've kind of lightened this with a little bit of yellow, okay? Line there. Roses are kind of like geometry. Okay, let's move on to the other ones. There's a nice green that I mustn't forget in here. And it's in here as well. yellowy green, and here, and there. And it'll do here as well. And here. And the thing with that Peploe was doing was just adding strokes as he went along. Oh, there's a very white light thing here. Oh, it didn't come out very light. A lighter orange here. Just individual dabs. They will build up. If you put enough of them in. It's a nice way of painting. Now I need a brighter version of that orange. So brighter means adding yellow into it, not adding white. And the color that you're using, it's very, very, very hard to match that rose color. So in the end, you have to say to yourself, "Oh, bugger it! I'll just use what I have," because you have to. Otherwise, you wouldn't get the painting done. Now, there's a couple of darker ones I want to put in there as well. Here. And you still have to do the cutting in sort of from the other side. And which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to make up, because I didn't make enough of it, of course. Silly me. Slappy wristies. The background color. That's all green in there. Okay, so now I can go back to my roses again. Now, I'm telling you, if you can get yourself some artist quality paints rather than student quality paints. Student quality paints are good and they work, and I'm using them here as we paint. But if you can get yourself some artist quality paints, you'll see the difference. If you've got a kidney to spare and can sort of buy them. I've used up both of mine, so. Okay, I'm going to get just a smaller brush, make up a mix, because there's some pinks in here as well. Pink across there. Okay, let's put a couple of darks in. Well, darker, so they're more sort of, how would you say, greeny or purpley or something like that, just to define them. Up here as well. But you're only putting in dabs, and they're like square dabs as well. They're not sort of, how would you describe it? They're not sort of dabs which you sort of, small sort of amorphous shapes. These have kind of got shape. That comes across as a slightly grey there, and then comes down there like that. Phew. Lemon. So less lemon, 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 lemon. That's a kind of the kind of childlike quality of painting. Those kind of things. We suddenly delineate something which, like a masterly kind of painter probably wouldn't do. That's what the Impressionists were so good at. They suddenly broke all the rules. And we've been sort of trying to break the rules in the same way ever since. Okay, let's have a look at some patterns. And I'm not going to be terribly specific about these patterns. On the jug for a start. This kind of thing. Hardly anything more than that. See, I'm painting on top of the paint that's already there. That's kind of an impressionist thing to do. Center up. That's all right there. Just putting that little dart there. Leaves. Now, I'll tell you what I want to do. If I have it here, I've got this brush, this one here. Let's see if you can see it against there. That's a flat, bright brush. Okay. About 8 millimeters, a centimeter maybe. Okay, so I'm going to sort of do some of the leaves, which are green, blue and yellow, and white, you see. There seems to be a defining feature of of Peploe's painting. It's very sort of very loosely described bright leaves. Just described like that. Not too much, no, well, no detail. Let's put that, let's shape that one as well in there. That helps define the rose a little bit. Let's move back onto the cup. Just put a few sort of a few bits of pattern on those. They're a kind of a darkish blue grey. Not going to over describe. This is part of the tea set that I got, we bought ourselves as a present when we got married. Villeroy et Bosch. It's a great piece of design. They're still selling them. This is what, 25 years later. Let's bring that into there a little bit. None of Peploe's strokes, indeed any of the Impressionists apart from Manet, none of them, the strokes are laboured in any way. They're just put down and left down. Let's put a little bit of a rim around that, about that cup. It's hard to be a bit steady. All right, okay, and then push that up. And push it down. So you get at least some sort of definition there. Okay, so is there anything more I can do around here? Yeah, there's a few sort of little bits in that rose. Remember the structure of roses? They kind of, it's like, I don't know, what do you call it? They're like an example of the Fibonacci numbers where everything grows at a precise ratio. Not that I know anything about Fibonacci numbers, or indeed normal numbers. Dabs. This is the painting like a child thing. A lot of angles in Peploe's painting. Let's do something else. I'll just put some red into those shadows. Because it needs some red over that side anyway. Let's put a nice dark under that cup and shape it again. We need a highlight on that lemon. Just taking some of the cadmium pale hue, mixing white into it. There's a lot of things to do in those roses, just to give them a little bit more sort of definition. That could have done with a little bit more shade here. The last thing I think I'm going to do is just put a bit of definition there. There we go.
Oh yes, lovely. Thank you.
So that's a bit of a departure for me. It's not the way I paint, but it's really well worth examining
Yes.
what other painters do and how they set up. You can see how simple, well, how relatively simple it is, because you're not striving to create a photograph or reality in any.
No. The roses are lovely.
So I'll go up super closer so you can see the strokes.
Yeah, the roses are lovely in it. Yeah. Really nice.
Okay.